I like the music. All right, welcome to this episode of Market Shares. I'm your host, Tony Blodgett, and today I have the great privilege of interviewing my good friend and longtime coworker with maybe a gap or two in between, but Mike Bond, welcome to the show.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, dude, glad to have you here. Well, it's been a long time trying to get you in the studio here with me to chat and catch up, so I'm glad the timing worked out for us both to make this happen today.
A little shy, but you know,
You're a little shy.
Get over myself and just come in and do it.
You've never been shy to me, so
No, right.
But the cameras, they do something different.
Totally different.
The cameras
totally
do something
Shut
different.
down
Well,
a
cool.
little bit.
Well, the good news is that this is super casual because we've known each other and worked together for a long time, and I'm kind of excited for this conversation because our industry is going through a lot of change. And we're going to talk a little bit about kind of what you've done to, shift and work through the challenges of this market. But before we get into all that fun stuff, I say we take it back a few years. I'm trying to think. I was trying to think before we started when we met, and it was. Do you remember what year it was?
Well, Rob had told me, our office manager, that it was. I thought it was 2008, but it was actually before that.
It had to be before that.
Because my son. I was born in 2006, and I was actually at Network Mortgage when I got the call that he came into this world. So it had to be about late 2005, 2006.
Yeah, 2005, maybe 2004, dude. I don't know.
Yeah.
Throwing it way back, but we go way back.
Way back.
Let's say 2005. I think that's probably pretty close. So maybe just give us a little background on you. How'd you get in the mortgage business? What happened to your Hollywood movie career? Just, take us through all of it.
Thought that might come up, huh?
Of course.
Well, here's the short of it is I actually followed my son's mom up here from California. I just wanted to just change the pace a little bit. I was in the entertainment. I wanted to actually be a film editor, and I chased my dream for a while. And then just some things came up in that world where it just limited the possibilities. At the same time, before chasing my son's mom, who's a blonde, I was dating a gal who actually introduced me to real estate she purchased. And what she qualified versus what her offer was accepted at really was a game changer for her. So I saw the reality of real estate and ownership in real estate. And so with that possibility that she just provided to say, hey, why are you renting? And you know what? Early on in life, I just knew I didn't want to rent. I wanted to buy. Now, my parents both rented, my mom. But with her being that example, it just introduced me to Marty Fontenot, I know to this day, who gave me the opportunity to get out there, and I bought my first condo in Azusa. That was prior to the subprime debacle, right? So we were just seeing equity just build and build and build. So I didn't stop there. I had to step into investment, bought another condo. A lot of my friends were goofing around, just teasing me, are you the condo king? I had a goal before I was 30 to own 3 condos. I did it, and so that introduced me to real estate. So when I decided to get out of California, LA, and come up here and chase my son's mom, I knew of real estate. I saw the lucrativeness of real estate. So when I made the move, got to Washington, a buddy of mine who was he was a account exec for some of the subprime Alt-A financial firms. He introduced me to a few cats, and it just wasn't a fit until I met, I remember Amy, who knew you personally.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And she said, hey, you got to meet my buddy, Tony Blodgett at Network Mortgage. And I thought, okay, why not? And at the time, I was just looking for a new place, new home. And I don't know what it was, but just the underwriting, in-house underwriting made a lot of sense to me being in this business. And for some reason, I just gravitated like, this is where it's at. And so I got the opportunity to meet you and your dad and really just come under your wings, be your mentee.
Yeah.
And see what the business, what was going to happen.
And it's all downhill from there. Well, right on. No, I really enjoyed that time. One of the things I've always loved about this business and the opportunity to be in the roles that I've been in is working with people that are newer to the industry, kind of sharing what has always worked for me and whatnot. But okay, let's fast forward. So, you obviously have been very steady. I would say that you're an above average producer and have been for, most of your careers. We all go through, kind of the ebbs and flows. But you've always been up there meeting your income goals and never, hitting it out of the ballpark, but I'm assuming living a very comfortable life as a loan originator, which is really what I wanted to talk to you a little bit about today, is because I've really seen a shift in kind of your, a mental shift, kind of a physical shift, and a desire to really do a little bit more. And I'm just curious, is it the shift in the market that has kind of made you realize that, hey, kind of what's always got me by isn't going to work in this more challenging market? Or what is it for you that's kind of turned a little bit? Because as most people, a lot of people are thinking about maybe even getting out of this industry. I mean, I see you doubling down your effort. I see you doing more than you've ever done to grow your business. And it's pretty refreshing to see. I think the audience would love to hear kind of what's happened for you as a result of, making the move to come here, the shift in the market. Are all these things tied together? Maybe unpack that a little bit.
Absolutely. So you had asked me, what got me into the industry, and just I think just that independence. I've always been just passionate about being self-employed, and the mortgage industry really gave me that opportunity. You mentioned being above average. We talked about that in the green room, and it's spot on. So in 2000, when I eventually got into the business, I came up here, planted myself, spent too much money, and realized, okay, what facet of this industry do I want to get into? It was the mortgage industry. But by the time, because of that above average...
Did you start in real estate at all? Or
no, just investing.
Okay.
So when I came up here, I thought, okay, what can I do to change careers totally and get into real estate? Was it appraising? Was it real estate? Mortgage finance. And the irony of it is I didn't do that well in math either. You know what I mean?
Well, the good news is it's pretty simple math here in the mortgage business. That's a little known secret.
Right. And then you can get, and then the more successful, you can actually hire people to do some of the work that you don't want to do, right? Knowing your strengths and weaknesses. So eventually I got into the business. I was working with you over at Network, and it was actually Kevin who turned me on to USDA. And if I can rewind that just a little bit, it was 2008 when the market completely crashed that I decided to take on full time. I had a baby on the way, a lot of responsibilities. It was like, what's next? But I just, kept looking forward and thought, you know what? I don't have anything to lose. So
you kind of really grew your business in the worst of times that we've seen in the last 15 years, right?
That's right, exactly. And that's why this season doesn't scare me like 2008
probably brings back some memories.
It does, right? Well, that muscle memory of going back to what you know, which is to get out in front of people and get back to the fundamentals.
Yeah.
So in this time, you mentioned about being above average, and what changed for me was just seeing your success and Dan Kelly and a lot of these other folks in our industry that have that success. And I thought, you know what? How do I replicate? How do I become more successful than I have been? And you're absolutely right. Above average. I've always just done enough. And I think I owe a little bit to just knowing that it came down to like self-worth a little bit. I needed to go through a season to know that I was worth the success. And once that registered that I was worthy of the success, is how do I surround myself with people that are having that success? So the opportunity last year to come aboard here, plug in, and then just being fortunate to work around someone like Dan Keller and yourself, him being an originator, him going through. So at that point already, I was introduced to the core, which was coaching. And if there's anything that I can highly recommend to your audience of originators, is I waited too long. But this is the season, and it was perfect timing for me to get into coaching. So the coaching really, it just brought up a lot of things that I knew I was doing right, but I wasn't doing it consistently, and I didn't have that accountability.
Yeah. Okay. Well, anyone who watches this podcast with any sort of consistency knows that right now that's what we've been talking about too, right? I mean, we're talking about get a mentor or a coach, plug in, accountability, all of that stuff. So this is an awesome conversation. So let's talk a little bit more specifically about the daily activities that you're doing more of, or that you're having more consistency with. Where did you see that? What were the things that you maybe knew you shouldn't be doing, but you weren't doing, and now you're doing them with more consistency, and you're starting to see your results, as a result of that?
Absolutely. Calling agents, getting in front of agents, actually meeting with agents. Recently, I introduced an idea that I had about open houses, like old school. We were taught early on. If we were in the office, we joke about this too with your dad. Like your dad, when he used to come upstairs and we were in the office and we didn't have anything in the pipeline, he'd give us a hard time.
Oh, yeah.
We could literally hear the voice down the hall. Ugh, it's like, oh, shoot, you know what was coming next. So we learned firsthand to just get out there and knock on doors. And so today I'm taking what I do know, but taking it to another level, which was not fearing the process. Like they have a boot camp that they've introduced with the core that you meet 100 agents in 90 days. And they literally have boxes to check from talk tos, face-to-face, gifts. I mean, it's hardcore.
Yeah.
So I saw that as an opportunity to go, you know what, let's just do it and dive into it. So one thing that I'm doing now consistently that I didn't do before was calling agents every Monday. Trying to knock out the 40, that's hard.
Yeah.
But, if I can get through 20, 26, 21, and you know what, it's trial and error too, because the more I'm doing it, I'm also realizing there's content involved. There's value proposition involved. There's a lot of things that you learn being a part of this program that you didn't see before. So what was really eye-opening this time is I was doing the right things, but the devil's always in the details.
Yeah.
What wasn't I doing right? Why did you have the success you did? Why did they have the success they're doing? They're doing it consistently, and they're in front of their agents, and they're adding content and value and education. What's stopping me from doing that? Me.
Right.
I was stopping me from doing that.
Right.
So that's different this time than I did before, was consistent. And then opening up the realm of possibilities. Today, agents aren't in the office. They're, you know what? This is kind of a blessing in disguise because of the market correction right now. They're doing open houses.
Yeah.
So, okay, well, I'll meet them at an open house. This Sunday I brought a coffee to a gal who was having an open house. And I thought, you know what? It's not as intrusive. Trying to get them break away from their lives every day, to go have coffee with Mike Bond. All right, if you don't want to have coffee with Mike Bond on a Wednesday, where are you at this Sunday? Well, I'm at an open house. Good. What kind of coffee do you want? And she's like, okay, all right. There was Diva Coffee Shop down the street. Gave her some options. You want the one with cream or no cream? She's like looking at me like, that's expensive coffee. I'm like, $8 is expensive coffee? Like, it's not expensive at all, considering I'm going to work with you and we're gonna kill it together.
Love
so
it.
just going above and beyond and actually being consistent with calling and being in front of agents.
Okay, so a lot of loan officers that may be watching this, even probably some realtors at some point, you say calling real estate agents and they go, okay, what do I say? So can I put you on the spot a little bit? I mean, what do you, if you're reaching out to that many agents, what are you asking them? What are you talking to them about? What are those conversations like?
I thought about that on the way here. I'm more of a relationship guy. As you know, I can talk. I can engage in conversation. Sometimes I find I can talk a little too much. We'll find on this podcast. Right?
I don't know what that's like at all. I cannot relate to that whatsoever.
Right? So you shared with the quadrant that they share.
Yeah.
Whether in your pre-approval stage, maybe you have a lead that you're working on, an event that you could invite them to, educating them on just products. We talk about the arms of the buy downs, the buyer program.
Buyer accepted
program.
Yep,
Trying to blank on that one. Just different programs that they might not be aware of. I know also stepping into this that that content is really important. But one thing that we're doing right now is the value proposition. Why do they want to have coffee with Mike Bond? And that's something that I'm currently working on that I didn't see in 15 years of doing this. Why do they want to have coffee?
Right.
And so
how can their life be better after having a meeting with Mike Bond?
Right. And so that value is like, what can I offer? Don't be intimidated by that. I had to really take a deep, just a look into what it is that I can offer.
Yeah.
One of the things that I know that I'm good at is marketing. I'm just thinking outside the box. Like we did these open house little survival kits, and it was really accepted well. I mean, they're just like, that was new. It was different. Something just totally different. Topic of conversation. You see like my business cards in the office.
Yeah.
How many, I could tell you almost
creative.
like 9 out of 10 times people will go, that's a really nice business card. In fact, one agent over the weekend goes, who did you use? So again, it's just engaging and just being, at the, I don't want to say the right place at the right time, but just being out there.
Yeah. So I have to imagine, and I don't make a lot of sales calls to real estate agents these days, or any for that matter, but I have to imagine, look, they're going through the same challenges in this market. I mean, it's a challenging market for everybody. The fact that we see, I don't know, I saw maybe 6 open house signs just like between the grocery store and my house this weekend. That means that that's different behavior than we saw for the last couple of years from real estate agents. So, it's different for them too. What are the biggest challenges that they're sharing with you that they have? And are you at all working with real estate agents to help them recapture their leads? I think lost leads is a big conversation, like, how can we work together to wrangle in a prospect that might stop by your open house or whatever, right? That's true value that you could bring. So what sort of things are they sharing with you? What are the challenges they're dealing with, and how are you helping to solve those?
I think it's price point. I'm noticing there's a price point, I think above $700,000 at times seems to be more challenging for consumers out there. I think the interest rate hikes and the fear kind of pushing folks back and making those decisions. I've seen a lot of price points not being accepted, 80, 90 plus days on the market, which, as we know, is quite bizarre considering the market we've seen for the last decade plus. So that's one thing about just, price points. I think it's just discussions, having, what am I finding with my buyers, and, where are they priced out at, and what are you finding? So those discussions. I wish I had kind of a better strategy to share as far as like transferring those leads. I'm really, talking about being above average. I'm just starting now to step into nurturing these relationships to earn that trust. And I'm just now working with a few to kind of mind and really get into those conversations to help these folks using Mortgage Coach, talking to them. But, that trust factor is huge in that relationship of helping them to get these buyers off the fence and come and buy.
That might be the next thing to really model out, is a real strategy to help realtors capture, close, convert, follow up with their leads. I mean, that's just immediate value, right? So we'll have to have some future discussions about that. All right, let's shift gears a little bit. Let's talk about your buyers, your clients that you're working with. Has anything changed? I mean, what are you seeing there? I mean, the converting right now is difficult, right? I mean, interest rates are they just keep getting worse, man. They just keep getting worse. I hopefully am not ever going to eat my words on my podcast I did about will rates get to 9%, because I still don't think they're going to get there. But man, this inflation is relentless, and rates keep going up. So is there anything you've changed in your process, your conversation with your clients today?
Well, the topic has been like the return on investment, right? Just kind of going over, the down payment, and just the projected value, the equity that they can build. A lot of times I do take a personable approach to just breaking the numbers down using Mortgage Coach, giving them options, really just sharing with them the benefits of ownership. I think the change is the price. I mean, when they see that mortgage and they realize that it's, we're not at 2 3/4 anymore, there's a reality check. But at the same time, I've also shared with them too, and we've heard this in discussion, to be married to the house and date the rate.
Right.
And there's a lot of reality behind that, to where optimistic rates will come down, and when they do, they'll get that mortgage payment back to where they want it to be. But you just kind of got to tighten up your belt strap and just do it. I think what's beneficial in this market today is they're not, competing with these outrageous offers, $400,000 or $500,000 above asking. When my niche has always been first-time buyers. So I love educating. I love, just hearing their conversations, hearing their needs, their goals, helping them out, provide options. I mean, going back to 2000, I found out the hard way, but it also, the training it gave me was just giving them options, down payment assistance. What does that look like? Providing all those options. So one of the things that I do is just kind of got off a little track here, but just provide them options of what's available out there, and just try to encourage them that this isn't forever. It's a little expensive. Getting back to, but look at, the inventory out there. Today they have choices, right? And that alone is like, maybe it went up at $1,200, $1,300, but you didn't have $300,000 to come in above ask. You were stuck. You were discouraged. A lot of these folks just stepped out of the market because they were just fed up, and I don't blame them.
I think there's a lot of people, I know for a fact, I don't remember the stat. It was a very high percentage. Matter of fact, I was shocked of first-time home buyers that regret the purchase of their home in the last couple of years, not because they didn't want to buy a home, but because they settled for a home that didn't really meet their needs out of desperation. And I think I spoke about this before. I mean, for me, the right house is almost invaluable. Like, if you find the right house in the right school district and the right market with the right neighbors, and it's what you're looking for,
right.
Like, I would pay a lot more for that right house. And there's almost an intangible to that. And I think it's so important we talk to buyers today, because I promise you this, we can speculate about how high rates are going to go. What we do know is at some point they're going to go back down. And when they do, the inventory issues have not gone away. I mean, we see more listings and more open houses today, and they're sitting longer because I think people are not quite pricing to the current market. But as soon as we see affordability come back down, we see rates come back down, I think we're going to be back to the bidding wars that we were in. We're going to see very little inventory, and people will be having to settle. So I actually think it's a great time to purchase right now if you can afford it. And then, like you said, you're not married to the rate. You can restructure that when the timing's right. You can also do, like we talked about in another episode, with a buy down. I just saw Rocket Mortgage, who I hate them, but you know what? You can't ignore them, right? I mean, I think that they're creative from a marketing perspective, and they just rolled out a program where we'll give you a 1 year lower interest rate. Yeah, it's called a buy down. We all know about that, but we should be talking about it more. When one of the largest lenders in the country is now advertising it, we were pretty early to talk about dusting off the buy down strategy, but it can definitely help with affordability. I'd be looking at that for every one of my clients, and especially working with sellers, houses sitting for as long as they are. I'd be talking to listing agents about, hey, why don't you just write in that you'll fund, a buy down right into the purchase, right into the listing, just agree to it up front. And anyway, there's lots of things that we can do to create ideas and strategies. Okay, we're going to come into the final stretch here of this conversation, but I like to ask this question of folks, what is something that you know now? I mean, you 06, you've been doing this for how many years now?
If we see 2000, I would,
that's hard math.
Realistically, full time, I would say probably 2006, 7. So what's that, 15? Almost
15 years?
16 years, yeah.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. Above average, not no more.
We both use calculators to do math, so it's hard.
Right?
But 15 years doing this. So what's something that you know now that you wish you knew then that you'd like to share?
I think coaching is a must in this industry. I think being surrounded with like-minded, and when I say like-minded, is people that want to succeed in their industry. And you hear these stories time and time again, and there's a feeling that you want it. And I've always felt I wanted it, but are you willing to go the extra mile to actually achieve the success that you want? And you can't do that alone. I can't do it alone. I was foolish to think that I could. But again, it comes in with like the self-worth part of it, that you just come to a point where, you know what, it's attainable. You can have that success. You just got to put in the work. And we know in this industry that there's a lot of laziness, a lot of people that get into fear. But, I've had some conversations with other LOs, and when they ask them what activity these folks are doing that are in fear, they're not doing anything. So I heard a long time ago during a speech that buffalo don't run away from the storm, they run towards the storm. And so I'm just going to have faith in the process that, I'm just going to run towards the storm, even though at times we don't like to be uncomfortable, but, it's extremely uncomfortable when your phone's not ringing. Yeah. So it's kind of like pick what, you want to do in this moment, and mine was success. Yeah. I want to succeed at this. I want to raise the level, the bar. I don't want to be above average. I want to seek excellence. And what does that look like? I need to have accountability. I need structure. I need to see a theme. I need to see what I'm doing. That was a big change in my business.
That's awesome. Well, I mean, you've always been very successful. There's no doubt about that. But when you set your sights at a much higher level, you can definitely see, hey, there's a gap from where I am to where I want to be. And I'm excited to see your journey. Look, if you're watching this episode and you're a mortgage professional or a real estate professional, which I assume is mostly who's watching this, and you're in that place, right? I mean, if you've been in that spot where, look, you can, I don't like to say the word coast because this is a difficult industry, but if you can just do the minimum you need to do and still have a pretty above average level of success, unfortunately, that's not the season that we're in right now. And I think that there's really two paths to choose. One is get kind of driven out of this business, frankly, because I think that doing the same thing you've been doing, if you're average or even a little bit above average, is just not going to cut it moving forward. I think the top producers in this industry will continue to gain market share. And so one direction is to just wither away and kind of really become irrelevant in our industry, or choose the path that my friend Mike Vaughn is choosing, which is now is the time that I'm going to double down on my effort. I'm going to learn the specific skills necessary that top achievers follow. And here's what you're actually going to find, and you're going to find this too, Mike, is that when you have structure, when you focus your time on the important tasks and not wasting time on things that aren't important, and then like you said, as you gain success, you hire people to help fill in the things you're not great at, you can actually have a better quality of life. You can have more time to yourself and your family and have more success in this industry. You literally can have it all if you follow, that model for success. So I'm excited for your journey. I thank you for taking the time to come on to Market Shares and share with me and share with the audience, kind of what you're doing, because I have to imagine there's some people out there that will be inspired by your words just because they're in the exact same boat as you. And so awesome. I'm glad to see you stepping up, and I'm glad you made the move over here, and I got a chance to work with you again on this journey. So
thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks, dude. All right, guys. Thanks for watching this episode of Market Shares. I know I say it every week, but for gosh sakes, if you haven't subscribed yet, what are you doing? Share it with your friends and your coworkers. And until next time, bye for now.